Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wirex Crypto Podcast. I'm your host Lianna, and I'm very happy to introduce our guest for today, Olga Yaroshevsky, Managing Director at AIBC. Welcome, Olga.
Hi, Lianna. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Today, we're going to talk about what makes Web3 events stand out with insights from Olga's experience, and we'll cover the key ingredients for success, how to keep things fresh and engaging, and her advice for anyone looking to organize their own Web3 event. So let's start with what got you into organizing Web3 events in the first place? Any fun stories from your first event?
Well, I think we all started pretty much around 2017. At least most of the people that I know in the crypto and blockchain industry, they started around the end of 2017 when Bitcoin hit its first all-time high. This is how I found myself in the crypto and blockchain space. And the first event that I hosted was beginning of 2019. So that would be Hong Kong Blockchain Week. It was a wonderful era before COVID and before everything that has happened to the world in the last several years. So it really feels like a completely different lifetime. I would say crypto and fintech events were way different from what they are now, but I started 2018, 2019. Back then, I hosted events mostly in Asia. Then when COVID hit, we switched to virtual format. Then we relocated to Dubai because UAE was, I think, one of the first countries to open its doors to Web3 and AI and crypto events offline. So then for the next, I think about 2 years, we hosted events in Dubai, in the UAE. And then I joined Sigma and AIBC almost 2 years ago. And we expanded the geography of our events. So now we're having this world tour every year. We go to 6 to 8 different locations in the world, including Dubai, Africa, Brazil, Asia, Europe, Central Europe. So this year we have Budapest and Malta left, and then we start all over again. So I'm a journalist, by the way, and I am a media manager by education and by background, and I've been in media and journalism for all my life, as long as I remember. And one of my friends who after that became a director for Binance in Russia and CIS, Vladimir Smirkis. I think this name might ring a bell to most of our listeners. So he actually dragged me into the crypto and blockchain space. This is how I found myself here. And during that period, end of 2017, the first bull run that I remember, everyone was really excited. No one could really understand what blockchain was and what crypto was and how the market works, but we were curious. We were brave. And I think this is how it all started way back then. So these were fun times. I think these were the most fun times to remember.
Those were the golden ages, I think, And what were some of the biggest challenges you faced early on? I mean, was the transition from, physical events to virtual and then back to physical? I mean, what were the challenges?
Well, I would say there are several sides to it. First of all, is actually organizing an event from logistics point of view. And then there is a content side, which I was mostly focusing on. COVID was really challenging for us and for the event industry in general. And it hit really hard in, most of the places that I worked at. It hit Asia really hard. It hit Europe and the US so hard. And people were, even though we switched to virtual events full, 100%. So I literally had to manually record a 2-3 day conference, every keynote session, every panel discussion. I had to record them and then upload them in the running order, manually. It's a lot of work to host a virtual event, which would be interesting to our viewers. We had very good numbers. We had very good attendance, but virtual events were nothing like offline events. It was nothing like real-time networking, like, actually talking to people. And I think everyone was really happy to be back to offline events. 2021, I would say, 2021, ever since the quarantine, has been shifted. So I think that was one of the most challenging part for me personally and for the events industry overall. So I'm happy it's over.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, because on the one hand, with virtual events, you can get the numbers and the numbers could be huge, right? But then how do you translate vibe, it's so difficult to translate vibe onto the virtual space. And what do you think are the key ingredients that make an event unforgettable for attendees?
Well, of course, we're now speaking about full-scale offline events, full-scale offline experience.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, I think since the events that I am currently organizing and hosting, they combine a big, fun expo with the conference and content part, plus networking part, as events, side events, workshops, dinners, networking drinks, etc. So I think the key ingredient is to combine all of these parts and to deliver a 360 experience for person who buys a ticket, so that they come to an event, they can go around a fantastic, huge expo, which is really well built and has lots of fun and immersive experiences, gamified experiences, digital art installations, etc. And then you can go and see the conference stage and listen to amazing speakers, get insights. And then after this, you can go directly to a networking event, and then you meet all of these amazing speakers and experts, and you can actually chat to them, talk to them, get their contacts, and maybe, strike deals. And this is how people get most of the value from every event in our business. So I think combining learning experience, expo experience, and networking is what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so key ingredients are really important, but then also, how do you come up with fresh and exciting ideas for the events, right? To keep people interested. Do you go with a theme? Do you have a theme for every event? Or, because you were mentioning you have like these key ingredients that are in your checklist, right? For an unforgettable event. But what about the ideas and how do you keep it fresh?
Well, I think our industry and the market in general, it gives us ideas every day. That's the best part. As in, let's say, one of the things that I've been focusing on lately for AIBC, and this is the track that I've introduced this year, beginning of the year, is sports and tech. I'm talking about Web3, crypto, and even fintech projects that work with the traditional sports industries. I'm talking about fan engagement, football apps. I'm talking about immersive experience in the metaverse or games when it comes to basketball or cricket or any other traditional game there. So I am inviting sports executives and athletes that share the stage with Web3 infrastructure providers and people from marketing agencies, or let's say people who work on creating, digital collectibles or NFT collections specifically for the sports industries. And they talk about different experiences that are trying to bridge the gap between a huge audience of traditional sports and then also the tech world. Let's say they also try to bridge the generation gap because even the football fans, even any sports fan, they get younger, and with the younger generations, we need to have a specific approach. We need to give them the experiences that they want. And I think the Web3 world is something that is able to give them this experience. So back to your question, let's say for sports and tech, one of the coolest things and cool ideas is to actually invite football players, athletes, UFC fighters, to an event so that when you buy a ticket, you can actually go and meet a superstar football player, right? Or we can organize a football match, or we can, one of the coolest things with AIBC and Sigma, especially over the last year, was an MMA fight that we hosted with Sigma partner Centurion MMA Fight Club. They hosted fights, actual MMA fights at almost every international event that we did, which was so much fun. I know it's a very specific and very particular industry, but, it was so much fun. I mean, it's engaging, it's super emotional, and we got all of our guests converging by the hexagon and, mixing and mingling with fighters. We had the weigh-in happening on stage. So I think one of the coolest things is to try to make this experience of coming to an event as much fun as you can, adding more activities, not just, simply sitting there and writing down your notes or going to a workshop or just listening to people talking. No, it would be cool to, I don't know, see superstars. Last year, we hosted Gary Vee at our Dubai show. He made a huge splash. So that was another cool experience for an attendee. I can imagine as an attendee, you go to a conference and then, wow, there's Gary Vee. And I can actually go and see him. I can ask him a question. I can go to a meet and greet session, which was happening afterwards. And then I can speak to a guy who is usually not so approachable, So I think that's the coolest part that events these days have to offer. They bring superstar football or basketball players closer to their audience. Superstar experts and speakers are getting closer. Like, Donald Trump spoke at a Bitcoin conference lately. How cool is that?
It'll be really fun to see maybe Donald Trump and Gary Vee in MMA. No, that would be really interesting.
See, we're already coming up with fresh ideas now.
Amazing. And, what are some of your favorite ways to keep the audience engaged, right, and excited throughout the event? I mean, I know you've got all these different little things that you bring to the table, but how do you keep them engaged throughout? I was just thinking about when I was doing marketing for a club, and we used to have dwarfs. We used to hire dwarfs to serve people, and that was one really that was my favorite way in keeping the audience engaged. And I'm just wondering, what are yours? What are your favorite ways?
Well, what I'm extremely proud of is my big team. We have an outstanding professionals working at the logistics and marketing department for Sigma and AIBC. And it's a big team, big international team. And we usually make a very big, cool group attempt, to deliver the best marketing and logistics experience. And I think this added to our reputation. So as I mentioned, we usually have a roster of activities that are planned throughout a whole week. So I'll give you an example. This November, we're hosting a big event in Malta, which is our flagship event. This is where it all started. Last year, for example, we had 30,000 people attending the joint show for Sigma and AIBC, which is a lot, I think it was by far the biggest show that I personally hosted as MC over the last 6 years. It's a big show. So I think one of the things that really keeps people engaged is the scale of it. So let's say you're buying a ticket, you're buying yourself a flight ticket, and you are 100% sure that throughout the week, you will have all types of activities on your agenda. And this is all ensured by organizing team. Not that I'm judging, but let's say there are different styles of organizing conference side events. Let's say during Token 2049, there's an Excel spreadsheet circulating in all different chat groups, and Telegram and WhatsApp chats, which consists of I don't know, 500 to 1,000 side events organized by different companies and people. So where you're trying to, you're trying to get to every event of this, or trying to evaluate which event brings you more quality, even though this is not included in the official conference or main event agenda. So this is, I think, what is a big challenge for an event attendee. I mean, I'm speaking about the event of a scale of Token 2049. Whereas there's a different strategy, and this is our strategy, and actually I think it has proved to be very effective. We are responsible for our own side events, and if it is included in our official agenda throughout the week, then you know that we are responsible, and we will deliver you 100%, 100% good experience, and there is a very low chance of you going to a lousy event. So I think keeping people engaged is making sure they will want to come to an event, making sure that they will know they will have a lot of people around. It will be both quantity and quality, redirecting different crowds. Let's say the gaming crowd goes to this event, and then there is a startup crowd which needs to go to an investor workshop, and then there is crypto crowd which goes to a crypto meetup, right, full of, I don't know, exchanges or market makers, etc. So I think redirecting the crowd and keeping people engaged with as many activities as you can, and making these activities legit,
Yeah, and there's something to say about like having that reputation, right, that you have, where when you have these side events and it's officially part of your event, people know that there's going to be a certain quality that they're walking into, right? That there will be a good event, and and also the people that attend these events will be well curated. I would say, right? How do you make sure there's a good balance between delivering great content and making sure that everyone has a good time? I mean, you mentioned this briefly just now, like with the different sectors, I would say, with gaming, with crypto, with all these different elements that you've got. So yeah, how do you make sure there's a good balance?
That's why we have a big team. We have logistics teams, which ensures the best experience for expo, for any dinner that you go out there. Then we have the conference team, which ensures a good experience for speakers and ensures that the agenda has relevant topics that are, interesting for people to listen to. I personally make sure to invite cool speakers that deliver great insights. And then we have the marketing team, which handles our social media networks and social media platforms. And they actually do an amazing job in terms of covering content at the conference, so that we post, all of the videos that go viral very often. And then we post conference content after this. Every panel or every keynote session is available on the YouTube channel, so we post videos. I mean, it's a big team effort. I think that's very important to understand, that it requires a lot of people to handle a lot of things.
Yeah, that's really amazing. To have a good team running things and to make it so in a way foolproof, right? Where everyone knows what they're doing and the job that they've got to do, and working cohesively. So that's really amazing in finding, great teams for your events. And saying that, how do you measure the success of an event? What kind of feedback do you look for?
Well, of course, we count the numbers, the number of attendees. If it increases, let's say last year we had our first show in the Philippines, in Manila, and we even have an office there. So we occupied 2 floors of one of the biggest expo centers in Manila, which was, rather ambitious. We had, I think, about 14 or 15,000 people attending through the course of 2 days. And this year we had over 17,000 people attending our show. And overall, in the measurement of, attendees, participants, partners involved, we've had an increase of over 40% in just 1 year. So this is how I think the success is measured if you manage to grow in the number of attendees. And this is one of the most important metrics for any event. And of course, feedback, personal feedback, testimonials from partners, from sponsors, from speakers. This is very important. I maintain my personal network with all of the speakers that are coming over to AIBC conference. And I think what is most important to me that people keep coming back. Well, like Wirex team, I'm very happy to have you guys on board because you keep coming back. And I think there's always so much stuff that we can talk about.
And that's amazing. And you were talking about speakers. Who's the most memorable speaker or guest you've had at one of your events and why?
Oh, that's a tough question.
It's like asking, your favorite child, right?
Yes. I have from 50 to 200 speakers for every event. And it's really hard to say. We had superstars. Gary Vee was interesting last year. And it was the first time I was present at his rather long workshop/speech. He spoke for about an hour. It was very interesting. And he really made a big splash. We had full house. People were, standing on each other's heads. So Gary Vee was very interesting. One of our AIBC ambassadors, and she's a true Dubai superstar, is Sara Al-Madani. She speaks at our international events. Usually she travels with us. And she speaks about, she's our spiritual leader. And, I think one of the most important things about speaking on stage is to actually having this unique energy. So she has it. You can see it and feel it even through her social media. And can you imagine seeing her on stage? So she channels a very powerful energy, and she usually speaks about entrepreneurship because she's a, many times entrepreneur. She's a female entrepreneur out of Dubai, and she speaks about the way that it has been challenging and also successful in many ways. So I think Sarah is one of the greatest speakers that we've had. I've had SEC commissioners speaking. I've had, all kinds of regulators and ministers joining our conferences. And I remember, but it was before I joined AIBC. Akon, you remember Akon had a crypto thing going on? So Akon was
I remember that.
Akon was also part of AIBC program. This is actually one of the coolest formats, I think, that is actually very good for an event when a celebrity is somehow engaged in the crypto space or in an AI or in a Web3 space, when they have their own project or support one of the projects, it's actually beneficial for everybody because they have their publicity, they have fun at the event, they have access to a new audience or potential business partners, and the event use their name, or their audience to, get more connections again and expand to a new audience. So I think it's the coolest collaboration ever. And this is why I'm particularly bullish about sports and tech, because even if it comes to sports superstars or famous athletes or even retired athletes, retired football players, sport is a 100% emotional engagement. You don't need to explain to people why they need to watch football or why they need to watch basketball. Everybody loves them, right? So I think this is one of the key things that events should utilize these days, inviting cool people to help them grow their business and also to help them, with marketing and increase their marketing efforts.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, what do you think the future holds for Web3 events? Are there any trends or changes you're excited about?
I think in my personal view and in my personal experience, one of the coolest trends is gamification. And gamification comes down to lots of industries and processes. For example, there's a big trend now, not so big, I guess, so far, but it's getting bigger and stronger, is Telegram mini apps. And they have gamification elements built in, like tap games, right? Tap games is a very good example. And gamification is everywhere. I think it has to do with built-in engines. I think it has to do with growing community and engaging people more. So it's a big and cool marketing tool. And I think it will also transfer to events, because in my experience, if let's say you go to an expo, where are all the people? They are by the booths and stands that offer any types of gaming or gamify experiences. Whereas it's, I don't know, a basketball pitch or any type of game, a Counter-Strike game, I don't know, a Fortnite game, anything out there. And whether it's a competition or, you know, or like a contest, or just an offer to play a game. I think this is something that will be present at Web3 and crypto and AI events. Another thing is built-in AI tools, but this is something that I am currently exploring as well. So how is it possible to actually utilize AI at an event, you know, as an immersive experience? So
yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yes, because I think we're slowly shifting away from just regular crypto events, you know, just talking about meme coins or how to make money in one day. So this is not relevant or interesting anymore. People are hungry for new experiences and immersive experience mostly. So I think gamification and built-in digital tools, whereas it would be AI-generated art, or digital galleries, or something, I don't know, NFT collection that you can mint on site, something like that, you know, or even trying to engage yourself in sports-like activity at the venue. I think that would be cool. One of the events I attended last year, I remember in Europe, you know what was the most popular attraction on site? It was a floating room and meditation room.
Oh, wow.
It was rather big event, very traditional, you know, conference/expo business style. But people were so excited. Everyone just kept talking about the meditation room and the room where they had this flotation device, you know.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. Like, you know, incorporating wellness into an event. And also, you know, what you were saying earlier on about these little gamification, it sounds also a little bit like the quests, right? That you see online, you know, for certain platforms, they make you go through a certain quest to then achieve, you know, and get to the next level. And from what you were describing, it's very much, I see the similarities, you know, what's going on online and as well as now, you know, as you mentioned, in the physical space, right? What's been the highlight of your career as an event organizer? You know, are there any moments that stand out as particularly rewarding? I'd love to hear about that.
Well, I think, you know, it's when people are asked what has been the best day of your life, it's yet to come. So I think I am actually very proud of what I've managed to build with AIBC in the past almost 2 years. And there are more exciting things to come and more exciting partnerships to come, which I hope we will be able to announce in the coming months. The geography that Sigma and AIBC has managed to achieve, so six or seven events a year is a lot. You know, it's really a lot and it requires a lot of work. So I think one of the things that I'm extremely proud of is joining this big team that manages to do so much in such tight schedule in different parts of the world. And I am very grateful to have the opportunity to work in the UAE, in Asia, in Latin America, in Africa. It was actually my second conference in Africa that we hosted last year. First time I did a virtual event together with African Union, which was part of, it's like a, intergovernmental organization which works with all of the African countries. It was during COVID way back then, but it was a very interesting, absolutely new experience. So what I really love is tapping into new markets, tapping into new countries and new regions, because something exciting is happening everywhere. Well, this country is very strong on fintech. Here they have amazing digital banking services. This country has the highest level of adoption for Web3 games, right? This country has extremely popular AI tools being developed by local developers. So combining all of these things in one conference, this is something that I think I managed to do.
One thing I have to say that I really appreciate about you is you're always giving props to your team, and it's very rare that you find someone that that comes from a position that you are in who celebrates their team, right? Most of the time I've come across people who are just like, yep, I've done this, and whereas you're always giving flowers back to the team, and I just have to say that I really appreciate that. And thank you, for mentioning the team all the time, right? If you had unlimited resources, what would your dream Web3 event look like?
Ooh, Turtle, don't get me started. Oh my God.
Yes, I love
to. I try to go to different events to see what's happening in the space. And I know that first of all, there are two formats. There are events that are focused on numbers. There are public events that try to attract as many attendees as they can, as we are, right? And then there are private events which focus on very high level networking, like the quality of people that they invite. It's an invite-only private experience, which of course is reflected in the price of tickets. I think I am team public here because I've been to these private events, and of course, probably from the business perspective, it's better to have direct access to certain type of people, someone that you don't have direct access to in regular life, and then you pay for a ticket for this high level event, and then you get access to a certain type of people. That's fair. But I think what I would do is I would enhance public events, because what we need in Web3 and crypto and blockchain and AI space is, of course, mass adoption, no matter how tired we are of this term, okay? We still need this, and education. I think one of the coolest things, and by the way, I think back to your previous question, this is something that I think I'm also proud of, that I managed to educate so many regulators, financial players and new people and young people on what our industry has to offer, because this is one of the goals that I think every event should also pursue, to educate people on different levels in a very transparent and legit way. We all know how many scammers are out there. We all know that, unfortunately, crypto industry in particular doesn't have a 100% transparent white reputation, Unfortunately, it's still in the gray area, thanks to, people who are scammers, Ponzi schemes, pyramids, etc., people who take advantage of other people's businesses, etc. So I think building a legit platform, building, I would say maybe even an authority platform at an event for people to come and say, okay, this is where I will get 100% credible information. This is where I will meet people who are not scammers. This is where I can educate myself, and this is where I can get business connections that will actually bring value to my business. So this is the event that I would like to build. It would be public. It would be highly curated in terms of who is invited, who is the partner, who is the sponsor, who is a media partner, who is a marketing partner, right? Community partner, etc. This is 100% trusted platform. I think that's the event of my dreams. And of course, it has a very strong entertainment side.
Oh, you've got to have the strong entertainment side.
Yes, I mean, if I could have any budget, I would invite Beyonce to perform.
Amazing. I'm going to be there straight away.
We would sell tickets as, NFTs. And of course, Beyonce would donate all of these, tickets to a foundation.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And and I also really appreciate you bringing up education and the concept of being an authoritative event where people know as they come in, this is where you're going to get the real alpha. This is where you're going to get, people who are speaking are not scammers, right? Because I've been to events and, the people that they put on stage sometimes are a little bit iffy. Hashtag just saying. What's your top piece of advice for someone who wants to start organizing their own Web3 events?
Don't. I'm kidding. No, actually, I'm happy to see that there are so many new events that are popping up here and there. There's a Korea Blockchain Week. There's a new chain of events in Dubai that is dedicated to Web3 and AI and is supported by government. There is a strong game that is picking up in Europe again. So I think if you are to start your own Web3 and AI event, the first thing is to actually, Lianna, going back to one of your first question, just think on why people would come to your event and what would be different, because our industry is not that big. Of course, it's expanding thanks to AI narratives. It's expanding thanks to fintech narratives a lot, so we're going slightly more into finance, and then we go slightly more into gaming, and then the AI stuff is completely different. And it grows a lot more, but all in all, we have a limited pool of experts, speakers, companies, right? There are not too many of us. So if you organize your own Web3 event, I would say think of something unique that you can offer to your attendees, whether that would be, again, privacy, maybe, high-level networking, which is quite expensive, but you are sure that you can deliver. Why not? I mean, it's a working format. Or if you're talking about public events, what experience your people would get apart from just a regular expo or conference experience? Do you want to pull off a concert for them, or a contest, or a quest, or a startup pitch competition, right? Or an auction, or I don't know, what else is there to offer? If the budget allows, then I would just add as many activities as you can. And of course, people are going to events always for, let's say, offsite networking stuff. So make sure you deliver the best experiences for dinners, drinks, receptions, etc. So I think it's also important. So don't save your money on good quality food and drinks, This is also important.
And, in some ways, what you're saying is intentionality, right? Like, what is your intention for the event? If I'm hearing correctly, and it's to know what your intention is, and then to, then add in those different ingredients, right? Well, thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I think I would like to invite everyone to our upcoming shows. So our next show is in Budapest. We are going to be there at the Hang Expo in the Intercontinental Hotel September 2nd to September 5th. So we are covering the Eastern Europe, and I'm very happy that Wirex team will also be present there. So we're going to talk about neobanking and digital banking, of course. We'll have a bunch of investors on site. We will speak about Bitcoin games, AI community, also marketing. So it's actually so inspiring and exciting on how much is happening in Central and Eastern Europe. I would never expect until I started preparing for this event. So much stuff is happening. We'll have the blockchain associations of Hungary, Poland coming over. The Hungary FinTech Association is also on board. So very excited about this event. If you haven't secured your ticket yet, please do, to hang out with me and Wirex team. Next up is Malta. As I mentioned, is one of the biggest events that we host. This year, it will be somewhat special because we celebrate 10-year anniversary of Sigma. So my Malta team is going a little wild, with activities. So if you haven't been to our Malta event, I strongly suggest to come because this is something that you haven't seen ever. At least you haven't seen 30,000+ people coming to a small Mediterranean island and breaking the traffic.
Wow.
We occupy the whole port of Valletta with a huge expo that is going to be located in 3 gigantic sheds, former shipyards. And it's all turned into an expo. We'll have 2 conference stages. We'll have a bunch of workshops, side events again. So Malta is going to be big. So hope to see y'all there. For 2025, we also have a schedule coming up. So our next show is in Dubai, February 2025. We're going back to Dubai. This is my favorite show, to be honest. So yeah, stick with us. Come to AIBC and Sigma events and be curious.
Amazing. I love that. And I'm looking forward to all these events. Thank you for joining us today. And it was really great having you here, Olga. Definitely. Again, we can't wait to see what amazing events you organize next. Yeah.
Thanks you so much for having me. And I'll see you hopefully at one of our shows real soon.
Definitely. To all our fantastic listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Don't forget to express your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing this episode. Thank you for tuning in, and until we meet again, stay well.